I will urge you Senate not to come on the road. Let them enjoy the power. Let them enjoy what they wanted to do. I have. I need your love. I need your blessing.
मुख्यमंत्री म्हणून उद्धव ठाकरेजींच्या हस्ते विठू माऊलीची पूजा व्हायला पाहिजे. पण त्यांना सुद्धा मी सांगते की शेवटी माऊलीची इच्छा आणि जे काय होईल ते चांगलं होईल, ते चांगलंच होईल. आणि हे चांगलं करण्यासाठीच मला पुन्हा एकदा सगळ्यांची साथ सोबत आशीर्वाद पाहिजे, प्रेम पाहिजे. आजपर्यंत तुम्ही मला तुम्हाला सांगत आलो ते तुम्ही ऐकत आलात. या सर्व काळामध्ये देशात ठिकठिकाणी दंगली झाल्या, जातीय दंगली झाल्या, पण महाराष्ट्रामध्ये दंगली झाल्या नाहीत. याचं कारण केवळ आणि केवळ तुम्ही समजदार माझी महाराष्ट्रातली जनता. आपण अगदी सीए महाराष्ट्रामध्ये दंगल झाली,
many kind of rights.
सुद्धा त्याच्यामध्ये आले. होय,
it was only Maharashtra
त्यांनी सुद्धा ऐकलं,
where no right happened. It was because you,
हे सगळं
it was because of the Maharashtra
असं अनपेक्षित होतंय.
people.
मला विचारलं अनपेक्षित असं सगळं घडते. म्हटलं मी आलोच होतो अनपेक्षितपणाने, आता जातोय अनपेक्षितपणाने. जातो म्हणजे कुठे जात नाहीये, मी इकडेच राहणार आहे. पुन्हा मी शिवसेना भवन मध्ये बसायला सुरुवात करणार आहे. पुन्हा माझ्या शिवसैनिकांना भेटायला सुरुवात करणार आहे.
I'm not going anywhere.
नवीन
I'll start sitting in the Shivsena Bhavan. I'm here only.
माता भगिनी आहेत त्यांना सोबत घेऊन एक नवीन शिवसेनेची वाटचाल. नवीन म्हणजे शिवसेना तीच आहे, शिवसेना आपलीच आहे. शिवसेना कधीही
This is the same Shivsena. Shivsena is not going to change. But it will be a new beginning.
हिरावून घेऊ शकत ना तुमच्यापासून आम्हाला ठाकरे कुटुंबियांना कोणी हिरावून घेऊ शकत. आपण इथेच राहणार आहोत. आणि जसं मी माझ्या मुख्यमंत्री पदाचा आज राजीनामा देतो त्याचप्रमाणे मी माझ्या विधान परिषद सदस्यत्वाचा
as I am leaving the chief minister post, I am also leaving the post of MLA.
मी आलो होतो
with I am resigning from the post of MLC.
तुमचा आहे, तुमच्या सोबत आहे. परत एकदा
I am yours.
माझ्या सोबत असलेल्या सर्व सहकाऱ्यांचं म्हणजे जे मंत्री मंडळ आहे त्यांचं, काँग्रेस राष्ट्रवादीचे आमदार सगळे सहकारी जिकडे फळ दिसतात तिकडे ते
काँग्रेस राष्ट्रवादी
मानवी स्वभाव आहे. खास करून शासकीय यंत्रणेत
let others go where they want to, or where they want to.
मी मनापासून ऋण व्यक्त
It's
करतो.
human tendency.
परत एकदा सगळ्यांना धन्यवाद देतो. जय हिंद, जय
I
महाराष्ट्र.
thank you all. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
All right, the big breaking story at this hour. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has just announced his resignation. This comes barely minutes after the Supreme Court allowed a floor test ordered by the Governor of Maharashtra to go ahead tomorrow at 11 a.m. Clearly, with numbers not on his side, Uddhav Thackeray has just announced his resignation ahead of that floor test and that special session of the Assembly tomorrow. So it's now highly likely that the BJP, along with the Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena, will go ahead and stake claim to form the government tomorrow. We don't know whether that will happen late night itself, but Uddhav Thackeray has announced his resignation just now. He has talked about continuing the fight for the Shiv Sena, talking about how his track record and the kind of work that he's done over the last couple of years. He once again said that the rebel MLAs of the party should reach out and speak to him. So Uddhav Thackeray, as we've been reporting this afternoon, since this afternoon, has announced his resignation ahead of that trust vote tomorrow. What does that mean for the assembly session that was supposed to take place tomorrow? Will the governor now simply accept his resignation and take the sort of the claims from Devendra Fadnavis and the breakaway Sena? Will he ask them to undergo a floor test instead? And will we see a new chief minister of Maharashtra within the next 24 hours? So that's how things are expected to play out. Earlier, Uddhav Thackeray's faction had been claiming that they were in touch with a number of rebel MLAs. Clearly, that was not the case, or maybe it was at one point, but it was becoming increasingly clear over the last few days that Uddhav Thackeray did not have the numbers with him, and he has announced his resignation just now. And in fact, I'd like to go across quickly to the Shiv Sena's Anand Dubey, who's joining us. Anandji, you are all hoping that that he would not put in his papers, but was this the best thing to do under the circumstances?
हमें उम्मीद थी कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट से थोड़ा समय मिल जाता तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें ठीक हो जाती, लेकिन जिस प्रकार से सुप्रीम कोर्ट का फैसला है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का फैसला सभी को मान्य है। मुख्यमंत्री जी ने बहुत ही भावनात्मक अपील करते हुए इस्तीफा भी दे दिया है। तो जिस प्रकार आप बता रही थी कि कल फ्लोर टेस्ट पर जाएंगे या डायरेक्ट गवर्नर साहब नई सरकार को न्योता देंगे, अब चूंकि कल ये सब संवैधानिक मामला है, लेकिन जिस प्रकार से पूरा भारत देख रहा है, महाराष्ट्र देख रहा है, एक लोकतांत्रिक प्रक्रिया से चलती हुई सरकार को कैसे जैसे दूसरे राज्यों में किया वैसे यहाँ भी छीनने का काम किया है। ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, सरकार बन जाती है, बिगड़ जाती है, लेकिन जिस प्रकार से लोकतंत्र की हत्याएं अलग अलग राज्यों में हो रही हैं, आने वाले समय के लिए बहुत ठीक नहीं है। उद्धव जी ने कहा स्पष्ट रूप से कि सरकार तो चली जाएगी, चली गई है, लेकिन मेरी शिवसेना कहीं नहीं जाएगी, वो कोई छीन नहीं सकता। हम उस प्रकार काम करेंगे जैसे हमने 1966 में शुरुआत की थी, हम उस प्रकार जीरो से ऊपर आकर काम करेंगे। तो देखिए अब चूंकि हमारी पार्टी के लिए, हम सब के लिए थोड़ा सा दुख का एक माहौल है, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा आपसे कुछ कह नहीं पाऊंगा, लेकिन मैं यही कहूँगा कि एक उम्मीद थी सुप्रीम कोर्ट से, एक उम्मीद थी महामहिम गवर्नर साहब से, लेकिन कहीं न कहीं हमें निराशा हाथ लगी है। ठीक है, अब उसका सामना करेंगे। अब जो विपक्षी हैं, अब पाला गेंद उनके पाले में है, अब सब कुछ वो देखेंगे।
Ji, we have Sanjay Hegde, advocate of the Supreme Court, also joining us. Sanjay Hegde, if you could try to explain the court's order today, because it was very convoluted. On one hand, the court has said the floor test should have gone ahead tomorrow, but on the other hand, it said it would be subject to a later ruling on whether or not the rebel Shiv Sena MLAs would be disqualified. Now, is that all irrelevant now that Uddhav Thackeray has resigned?
Well, Uddhav Thackeray having resigned, then there obviously can't be a floor test tomorrow. The point is that a new chief minister whom the governor feels has the confidence of the House will be sworn in, and then he will be required to prove his majority. So that is what is more likely to happen. What the Supreme Court did was that going by past precedent, it did not want to stay a floor test, but it said that in case anything goes untoward at the floor test, it is all subject to the final outcome of the petitions, which it proposed to hear after the court reopened on the 11th of July.
Right. So you're saying in a way that's irrelevant now. It is now a new chief minister, and the numbers that he has, that was what would be subject to the floor test, essentially.
No.
Then
the floor test that has been appointed, that has been asked of the Supreme Court, has now been rendered infructuous by this particular decision of the chief minister.
So what happens next? I mean,
to resign.
So what is the governor's responsibility?
The governor had asked. The governor's responsibility now is to find the next leader of the House, who, in his opinion, will command the majority in the House. So if somebody comes forward to stake claim, either Mr. Fadnavis or Mr. Shinde, backed by Mr. Fadnavis or whatever combination, he can swear the gentleman in or the lady in, and then ask them to prove their majority. That particular floor test is not subject to the Supreme Court proceedings.
Okay, so all of it essentially, is irrelevant in a way. Dr. Faizan Mustafa, the Vice Chancellor of NALSAR, also joining us this evening. Dr. Faizan Mustafa, your thoughts on this, a political and a legal battle. At the end of the day, what would you say on the Supreme Court's order today? You think it forced Uddhav Thackre's hand, didn't it?
Nidhi, I think that the Supreme Court's order is on the expected lines. On the NDTV itself, 2 days ago, I had predicted that the governor, as soon as he is discharged from the hospital, would ask Uddhav Thackeray to prove his majority. But politically speaking, I would say that Uddhav Thackeray, just like Dev Gowda, should have taken this opportunity and spoken in the House in response to the no confidence motion. that would have given him far more political clout, that he is speaking from the floor of the House what have been the achievements of his government. Legally speaking, Nidhi, I think the issue which Abhishek Manu Singhvi has raised remains important for the constitutional law students. That can a group which is planning to defect just send in an email saying that they don't have a confidence in the speaker, and thus speaker cannot disqualify them, and then they will have a favorable governor who would call for the floor test.
Hello.
And these people who ordinarily would be disqualified can vote and vote out a government out of power.
I can also go across to our reporters. I think Arvind Gunasekar is with us. He's been covering the Supreme Court all day today. And Arvind, as Sanjay Hegde was saying, now all of this in a sense irrelevant. Uddhav Thackeray has resigned. Therefore, the governor will now invite whoever stakes claim to form a government. Will we necessarily, then we'll see a new floor test, right? So all of this now, you know, is in the past.
Yeah, Nidhi, it's game over for Uddhav Thackeray government and also most of the legal issues that's pending before the Supreme Court also. So in all likelihood, with Uddhav Thackeray resigning as Chief Minister, now Governor will ask the leader of opposition here, the single largest party, that is BJP, to form the government. So BJP, with the support of Eknath, Shinde, will stake claim to form the government, and Governor will give them some time. Let's say even if he is giving them a week time to prove the majority on the floor of the House, then BJP will be proving the majority on the floor of the House. But before that, they will be making a very smart move, that is to elect the speaker, because Maharashtra Assembly does not have a speaker. The moment you go for an election, elect your own speaker. The moment you elect your own speaker, then they can recognize Eknath Shinde as the Sena faction, and then there won't be any disqualification proceedings against any of the rebel MLAs. So first move will be moving the governor to stake claim for the government with the support of Eknath Shinde and independent MLAs. Then form the government. Third, elect the speaker. Fourth, prove the majority on the floor of the House. So by then, everything will become infructuous. And again, when the Supreme Court takes up the matter on July 11th, by then there will be a new speaker. So there won't be anything before the deputy speaker even to adjudicate. So by then, everything will become infructuous. And that's what Uddhav Thackeray faction actually wanted to satisfy the court, saying that if the floor test happens tomorrow, everything will become infructuous. But it looks so that's going with the same way which Uddhav Thackeray faction actually anticipated.
Right. We have Professor Gobardhan Das of the BJP also joining us at this hour. And Professor Das, your first reactions to this, is Devendra Fadnavis going to be the next Chief Minister?
Well, it depends on the governor. Governor can call him as a biggest, largest party at this moment, and he can, with the support of Eknath Shinde's MLAs, with the support of them, and being a largest party, he can form a government. And I think this is good for the Marathi people. That's because BJP and the Shiv Sena, they have the similar kind of ideology, and they can form a stable government, and then that is really beneficial for Maharashtra.
Right. Do we still have Mr. Anand Dubey of the Shiv Sena with us? I think he's just gone. We're going to try and get back to him in just a little while. Can we go across to Saurabh Gupta in Mumbai? Saurabh, just take us through what to expect now that this development has taken place with Uddhav Thackeray's resignation. What next?
Well, of course, Uddhav Thackeray now is no longer Chief Minister of Maharashtra once he resigns. So obviously, then of course the governor now has to look for another formation that commands the majority in the House. That formation is likely to be these defectors who are now on their way to Goa, and probably they'll be back in Mumbai tomorrow. Uddhav Thackeray has appealed to all Shiv Senics, let's not engage with them, let them go wherever they want to. That's exactly what he said. So this is of course something that will happen tomorrow. Now he also made an emotional appeal. He said these are people whom the Shiv Senic built from scratch, who we make them.
Saurabh, go ahead. I think we just lost.
So obviously, yeah.
Sure, go ahead, Saurabh.
Yeah, so obviously he made that emotional appeal saying that these are people whom we built from scratch, we gave them positions, we gave them power. Balasaheb's Shiv Sena gave them all of this, and today they've brought down a government led by Balasaheb's son, but we'll deal with it. But this is not as easy as, it's easier said than done, because obviously this is going to be a challenge for the Shiv Sena. The BJP's aim in Maharashtra is to finish the legacy of the Shiv Sena, to finish off the legacy, because that leaves them as the only Hindutva flag bearer in that space. Every time the Sena gets stronger, it's always at the cost of the BJP. So the BJP now senses an opportunity by getting these guys to defect and, having this formation in Maharashtra. If they recognize Eknath Shinde as the Shiv Sena, then the Shiv Sena will be, of course, someone who will be at their beck and call, unlike a Shiv Sena which was led by Uddhav, which constantly challenged them. So obviously this is something that, we will see in the coming days. Yes, perhaps, the courts, the judiciary, everyone needs to also see this the problem of defectors. It's happened in state after state. And what everybody said is that, while Uddhav Thackeray did refer to it briefly, perhaps that is one thing that is a takeaway again from this, that how do you deal with defections, because this keeps happening everywhere now.
Right. Arvind, again, take us through some of the arguments that were made today. Very animated 3.5 hours of arguments that happened on this issue.
Yeah, Nidhi, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, senior counsel appearing for Uddhav Thackeray faction, started the argument wherein he said because the Supreme Court has interdicted the disqualification proceedings, if the floor test is allowed, then those rebel MLAs can also come and vote, and that will make the entire matter infectious. He went on to say that if at all, if the later stage, if the Supreme Court finds that the Deputy Speaker can go ahead and disqualify them, and by then, if they are disqualified, if they were to be disqualified, then they have to be disqualified from the date of June 22nd. So if someone who is facing disqualification sword on his head from June 22nd, how can that particular person or an MLA can be allowed to vote in the floor of the House, on the floor of the House on June 30th? And that's why he said that the floor test should also be postponed, at least till Supreme Court takes a final call on the disqualification proceeding. He also said in all the previous instances, the Supreme Court has allowed the floor test, but in such cases, Supreme Court did not tie the hands of the Speaker or Deputy Speaker when it comes to the disqualification proceedings. In all those cases, when Supreme Court allowed the floor test to happen, they also allowed the Speaker, Deputy Speaker to go ahead with the disqualification proceedings. But in this case, in an unusual move, Supreme Court has interdicted the Deputy Speaker from carrying forward or proceeding ahead with the disqualification proceedings, and that's why they wanted the floor test to be adjourned at least till July 12th, when Supreme Court takes a call on the disqualification proceedings. But whereas appearing for Eknath Shinde, senior counsel Neeraj Kishan Kaur argued, saying that it's not the Supreme Court, it's not this particular bench that has interdicted the disqualification proceedings. In fact, he argued, saying that it's a law. The Nabam Rabia judgment by the Constitution bench has made it very clear. Once there is a no confidence motion against a Deputy Speaker or a Speaker, they cannot go ahead with the disqualification plea, and that's why they cannot equate the stay on disqualification plea with the no confidence motion. And then that's why they said, because Uddhav Thackeray faction does not have the numbers, that's why they're trying to delay the floor test. Also appearing for other rebel MLAs, senior counsel and former additional Solicitor General Maninder Singh argued that the disqualification sword is pending only against 16 rebel MLAs, but what about the 19 odd other rebel MLAs? What about their rights? They should also be allowed to go to the House and make their views on the floor of the House. If the floor test is stayed, then those 19 odd rebel MLAs will be losing their right to make their views on the floor of the House. Also appearing for Governor, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta argued the same point, saying that it is a law that has interdicted the Deputy Speaker from proceeding ahead with the disqualification proceedings, and that's why the Supreme Court should not intervene on the floor of the House. He also said it's not just mere the number, but also the atmosphere, also the law and order machinery that is failing in Maharashtra, and that's why the floor test should be conducted so that a stable government can be provided to the state of Maharashtra. So after hearing all the side argument, Supreme Court refused to intervene on the issue of floor test that has been scheduled for tomorrow. So tomorrow floor test will happen, and Supreme Court also said that all these interim orders will be subject to the final orders. That is, the final order here means whether Supreme Court taking a final view whether the Deputy Speaker can go ahead with the disqualification plea or not. But it looks so in all probability by then a new speaker will come in, and then everything will become
it's in a way so irrelevant actually. Saurabh Gupta, what are we hearing about government formation now? Anything at all from the BJP side, because they've been having their own meetings. Mr. Fadnavis was in Delhi yesterday. He had called a meeting today also. So what's the next move? Are we going to expect him to stake claim? Also, the rebel MLAs who were in Guwahati, they've just landed in Goa. So they'll be on their way to Mumbai tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. They'll be on their way to Mumbai tomorrow, or perhaps even late tonight or early tomorrow morning, because the floor test is at 11 and they'll have to be in Mumbai before that. They've also obviously come back after a holiday, so they'll be at the Vidhan Bhavan on time, one hopes. And that is, of course, something that will be, the next step. But before that, what we are being given to understand is that the BJP already has its lists drawn up. Several of these lists have been doing the rounds on in media. It is likely to be a formation where Devendra Fadnavis, of course, has been wanting to become Chief Minister since he lost that position 2.5 years ago. It is likely to be him. And then, of course, it will have Eknath Shinde as a deputy in some form, or perhaps with plum portfolios. And that is, of course, going to be, and like Arvind was reporting, they'll recognize Eknath Shinde as the Shiv Sena. But again, the party, I think, is still something that they, at least in the house, they'll recognize Eknath Shinde as Shiv Sena. But within outside the house, which will be the party, will the party stay in Uddhav Thackeray's control, is all things that are again likely to be in a court battle, because ultimately the BJP's aim is to finish the Shiv Sena and be the sole flag bearer of Hindutva politics in Maharashtra. They don't want to share that space with anyone, and the problem for the BJP is that if they leave a powerful Shiv Sena, they feel that that will become the only, that could be a challenge to them. And that did become a challenge to them, because the Shiv Sena has often taken contrarian positions to the BJP. So in that context, it'll be a very, under Eknath Shinde, what you will see is a very submissive, weak, sort of second fiddle to the BJP kind of party, irrespective of what the name is. And what we also are given to understand that Uddhav Thackeray in meetings has said it's time to go back to the drawing board, time to start like my father Balasaheb started, and build the party from scratch. So yes, that is again easier said than done, but that's the huge challenge that's facing the Thackerays at this point. Not just saving, of course, the question of saving the government doesn't arise, but also saving the legacy of Balasaheb Thackeray is something that the Thackerays will have to work for very hard.
Okay, in fact, we just got an alert, Saurabh, stay with us, that in fact Uddhav Thackeray is heading to Raj Bhavan shortly. So obviously he's going to formally hand in his resignation to the governor in a short while from now. Again, just sort of stay with us, because let's look ahead at government formation. That is really the big story now in terms of who could be the next chief minister. Now, has there been, do we know, between the Shinde faction of the Sena and the BJP, what kind of deal could they possibly have struck? It's clear that the BJP and Mr. Fadnavis are very keen to have the chief minister's post back. So are we looking at perhaps deputy chief ministership for Mr. Shinde?
Yes, that is of course what we are looking at in terms of, the chief minister, deputy chief ministership. That's one of the possibilities. But again, this formation, whatever it is going to be on the terms of the BJP. It's not going to be on the terms of the rebels or Eknath Shinde. It is what the BJP decides that will happen in terms of this formation. It's not going to, because the BJP will emerge as a hegemonic power in the Hindutva space, which till now it was in Maharashtra with the Shiv Sena. So the Shiv Sena, having lost this chunk of MLAs more than two-thirds to the BJP. And irrespective of whether they join the BJP or they have a separate formation, the fact is that ultimately this is a victory for the BJP and in a sense losses for the Shiv Sena. And while the BJP may consider giving some of these rebels tickets in the next election, the word that we are getting is that at the end of the day, the BJP would like to field its own candidates as well. So till the next election, of course, these MLAs may have some guarantee, and otherwise after that, it will be very much okay. We are hearing now, this is of course preparations for, the Chief Minister's convoy. If I can just ask my camera person to show you here, preparations for Uddhav Thackeray now to leave Matoshri and head to, Rajasthan to hand over resignation to the governor. So this, of course, is any time now the Chief Minister of the Thackeray will leave. We can see other, MLAs and perhaps party leaders going in to meet him. And at this point, we are seeing someone come out of Matoshri and Uddhav Thackeray. You can see, of course, his convoy is ready at this point. This is his convoy that will leave now. Perhaps the last time as Chief Minister of the state, because once he hands in his resignation, he's technically not the Chief Minister. Aditya Thackeray will also accompany him. We're being given to understand at this point. And any moment now, we'll stay on these live pictures. The Chief Minister, still the Chief Minister, till he actually resigns, with the and hands over his resignation officially to the governor. He will quit from that position. At this point, you can see police officers preparing for his departure for Raj Bhavan from Matoshri, which is his private residence. And this, of course, is yes, like we've said, it is defeat in a numbers game, in terms of politics, in terms of power play, in terms of perhaps strategy even, because at the end of the day, it's the Shiv Sena that has broken. The Shiv Sena MLAs that have, defected. Uddhav Thackeray has also made a claim, made an appeal, I beg your pardon, to Shiv Sena MLAs not to cause any kind of trouble. His exact words were, let them go if they have to go. So we're preparing for Uddhav Thackeray to leave for, the Raj Bhavan any moment now. Then, of course, he will then hand over his resignation to the governor. So, yes, you can see the preparations there ready for him to leave now, and we'll stay on these pictures, Nidhi, in case he comes out any moment. We've been given to understand that it could be any time now. So yes, the last time
we're also getting photographs that have just come in of the BJP camp celebrating post resignation announcement. These pictures of Devendra Fadnavis, who's now likely to be the next Chief Minister of Maharashtra, that have just been sent to us. He's actually being fed mithai by Chandrakant Patil, the state BJP president, and others. They're cheering him on from the BJP. This is really something that was a bugbear in his side and from the BJP ever since that alliance with the Shiv Sena broke up 2.5 years ago, and the Shiv Sena unexpectedly joined hands with the NCP and the Congress party. So it's been a very bitter sort of political atmosphere in Maharashtra since then. And we can see the BJP camp is jubilant. They are celebrating this. Meanwhile, Uddhav Thackeray, it appears, is on his way to formally hand in his resignation to the governor of Maharashtra. The Eknath Shinde camp, meanwhile, has landed in Goa just a little while earlier. They were parked in Guwahati for much of the last week, and in fact have just landed in Goa a short while ago. They had decided to play it safe and literally get into Mumbai just before the trust vote was supposed to take place tomorrow. So they will now they are expected back in Mumbai tomorrow. So the focus will now be on government formation and how this government between the BJP and this faction of the Shiv Sena will play out, what posts, who will get what posts, cabinet berths, etc. But very likely that Devendra Fadnavis will be Chief Minister again. And the question is whether Eknath Shinde will be made the deputy. Also, what happens to the Shiv Sena itself? As Saurabh was explaining, there is now a battle to claim the Shiv Sena as a party. Eknath Shinde has consistently claimed, and he said that in court today as well in the Supreme Court, that he is the real Shiv Sena, that his faction is the real Shiv Sena. He has, it appears, the numbers on his side, which is why Uddhav Thackeray resigned even ahead of the trust vote. But for Uddhav Thackeray now, the challenge is to, in a sense, rebuild and reorient the Shiv Sena around the Thackeray family, which is going to be the next big challenge. So interesting days, but politically significant also what the BJP has managed to do in Maharashtra. Of course, officially they claimed that they were watching from the sidelines, but I think anyone who's followed Indian politics closely enough knows that that's not the case. There is a reason why the rebel Sena MLAs went from BJP state to state, whether it was Gujarat first, Assam next, and now Goa. They were visited by BJP leaders, ministers at whatever resort, hotel they were staying in. So the BJP was very much part of this, and this was not something that happened overnight. It's been in the works for quite a long time. And it is significant nationally, politically, because Maharashtra is, of course, a major state, and the BJP has wrested it back from the opposition ahead of the 2024 general election and the assembly election. And that certainly is a big boost for the BJP camp ahead of that election. To see another opposition state go down, you can ask questions about the methodology, how it happened, etc. But at the end of the day, politically, it is a shot in the arm, one more shot in the arm, one would say, for the BJP ahead of the 2024 election. Maharashtra itself will be having elections later that year. There are also crucial BMC elections that are coming up in a few months, and many believe that was something that also precipitated this breakup of the Shiv Sena and this breakup of this government, simply because Eknath Shinde for a long time believed that for the BMC, which is of course a huge election, it is the richest civic body in the country, which is a big prestige battle. Shinde believed that in a sense Uddhav Thackeray had deviated from the core Hindutva ideology of the Sena, and that it would cost them in the BMC polls. So the BMC polls are not just any other municipal election. It's a very, very high stakes election with a lot of money at stake, a lot of power at stake in Mumbai, and therefore we saw this sort of tussle break out within the Shiv Sena. My colleague Akshay is also in Goa today, and he's tracking the sort of breakaway faction of the Shiv Sena. Akshay, you were following them around in Guwahati before this, and now you're in Goa, so you're also doing a Bharat Darshan with them. I guess they must be heading to Mumbai now first thing in the morning.
Well, exactly. That's what we are hearing as well. One thing, I couldn't go to Surat, otherwise it would have been a complete Bharat Darshan. But I would like to show one thing that is happening here at the Goa airport. Now, when we talk about the MLAs, these MLAs of Shiv Sena hopping into different states that are all ruled by the Bharatiya Janata Party, and security arrangements, as you can see, are all very, very strict. A lot of security personnel have been deployed at the airport by the Goa government. And now, after Guwahati, similar kind of scenes are witnessed here as well. Now, all of these police officials that have been deployed here are for the security and the safety of all of these MLAs that are now coming. Now, these are the MLAs which in fact have resulted in Uddhav Thackeray resigning as the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and now there is chances for Devendra Fadnavis to again become the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. We are still all waiting for these MLAs to come, and their plane has landed here in Goa. We all have been waiting for them very, very patiently here at the airport, but you can see the scenes inside. So this all security arrangements outside, this clearly has been at the behest of the state government. Earlier it was similar kind of scenes in Surat, in Gujarat. Now the same scenes we saw in Guwahati, in Assam, and now in Goa again. So all of these MLAs will be coming out of the airport very, very shortly, and to secure them and to take them to the hotel in Goa, where about 71 rooms have been booked for these MLAs. They will be transported by the, proper security. There are escort cars which have been parked outside the airport. A lot of media presence here. Everyone trying to get in a word from Eknath Shinde as far as the MLAs are concerned. So I would like to show there as well. You can see at the gate where the MLAs are expected to come, all of the media crews are all lined up just to get a glimpse of Eknath Shinde and the other MLAs, just to get in a word from them. So the situation here is in fact very funny. because the BJP has been time and again saying that they have no role to play in it. They don't know what the MLAs are doing. We saw Assam Chief Minister earlier saying that any MLA can come. So clearly, while horse trading was in fact even right now is taking place in the open, the party that is ruling the government, the party that is in the center, that party, their own Chief Minister says one thing, and it is extremely bizarre. Of the Chief Minister saying that the MLAs can come here to his state, and him not being aware of the kind of horse trading happening. And clearly this only benefits the Bharatiya Janata Party, whatever has transpired in the past week. In just a few moments, the MLAs are expected to arrive. We'll try to get in a word, which will be very difficult given the number of media crews that are present here, because as soon as they are out of the airport, there will be again incommunicado from what we have seen in Gujarat and Guwahati, that police protection has been provided to all of these MLAs at every nook and corner. Their hotels have been guarded by state government police, by Central Armed Police Forces. Similar kind of scenes are here at the Goa airport as well.
All right, Akshay, we'll wait for you to sort of meet them in Goa now. I mean, what does one say about that? But thanks so much for joining us. For that, as I said, the focus now shifts completely away to government formation and what happens next. It's very clear now that it's going to be a BJP Eknath Shinde government, and the question is, are we likely to see Devendra Fadnavis back as Maharashtra Chief Minister? That's going to be the big thing to watch out for. As I said, politically, it's extremely significant, not just for Maharashtra, but nationally as well. A big shot in the arm for the BJP to wrest back a state that actually they had emerged as the single largest party back in 2019 in that election, and that pre-poll alliance with the Shiv Sena breaking up extremely bitterly and leading to this unlikely alliance with the NCP and the Congress party. Sanjay Raut, by the way, has put out a tweet saying that, we've lost a sensitive and cultured chief minister, and history tells us that the end of fraud is not good. Thackeray won, the people also won. This is the beginning of the grand victory of the Shiv Sena. He goes on to say, let's eat sticks, let's go to jail. But Bala Saab's Shiv Sena, keep it burning, in that very sort of, this is, I suppose, a translation of what he's just put out on Twitter. I'm sure it sounds much better in Marathi, but that is what Sanjay Raut has just said. Saurabh, just getting last comments from you before we wrap up. What next? Uddhav Thackeray heading to the governor now. What to expect now tomorrow?
Well, once Uddhav Thackeray hands over his resignation to the governor, he ceases to be chief minister, and that's going to happen now. So obviously, after this, it's the next formation that has the majority. The governor is likely to call them tomorrow. Now that there is the possibility of a floor test is not required anymore, given that the governor, the chief minister has resigned. So obviously, it means that the next formation will be directly called. They'll go stake claim, and then of course they'll be sworn in as chief minister and cabinet ministers, and could perhaps finish the rest of the term as it'll become of course another saffron BJP state in its kitty. And yes, like states like Madhya Pradesh, like states like Karnataka, like states where we saw MLAs being herded into resorts, defecting, and all other kinds of drama. One more state, of course, is going that way, and that is, of course, Maharashtra. A financial powerhouse, one of India's most industrialized states, and something that the BJP was very, very bitter about losing. But like I said, the future politics is that the BJP wants to be the sole Hindutva flag bearer. It does not want to share that space with anyone. And this is a step in that direction. And the Shiv Sena at this point says, well, we're going to fight back. We're going to start from scratch. But like we know, it's easier said than done. And it's a long road ahead, long battle ahead for Aditya Thackeray, who's actually the young leader against, whom also Eknath Shinde has rebelled.
All right, Saurabh, thanks very much for that. I'm going to take a break at this point. We'll be back with the very latest right after that as the focus shifts to who the next Chief Minister of Maharashtra will be. Thanks for joining us.